All right, so let's we can start taking in some reviews. Um, I got to see an early screener of The Gray, which comes out tomorrow, starring Liam Neeson, directed by Joe Carnahan, who, if you know, was the guy who directed Narc, which came out actually. I actually didn't know that it came out like 10 years ago. It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie all that much.
Really, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. Um, but so I
Oh,
guess
the A Team. He did the A Team.
did he? Oh yeah, that's
Darn it.
right. He did do it.
Such a good movie.
That was a good movie. I'm kind of that they're not going to make another one.
Oh, they're not?
No, it didn't make money. That movie didn't make anything. It was just, unfortunately.
So good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Very charming.
What's that?
I said it was very charming.
Yeah, it's definitely better than it's a lot. It's very fun. I expected it to be so.
Anyway, The Gray.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
so The Gray. In the last several years, if you maybe thought about it, Liam Neeson has taken on an interesting. So in his earlier career, he did Schindler's List, things like that, and movies that meant something, that kind of gripped your heart and never let go, and they're like, wow, that's very thought provoking and things like that. And it's not dig against his recent movies like Taken or Unknown, where it would just pretty much went from very heartfelt Liam Neeson to visceral rip your heart out Liam Neeson as he got older, which is actually not bad. It's not a bad thing. I'm not saying anything.
They're both good movies, Taken and Unknown.
Yeah, I never saw Unknown. I haven't seen Unknown yet, but they're definitely they definitely look like very good films.
Yeah.
So what is so I'm not hang on a second. Sorry. I need to catch myself. Okay, so while The Gray is a very bland title, it's like, wow, this doesn't really explain anything about the film. It is definitely a very apt explanation of the film, and refers to everything the film stands for. So they are filming in the Arctic, in somewhere very cold. So it's obviously a very gray film, because it's just gray everywhere. But it also talks about the gray wolves that they must fight. So, Liam Neeson is going to fight wolves now. He went from fighting humans and
he's taken on nature.
Yeah, and smugglers and things like that to nature. He's going to fight wolves. And also it refers to
just as epic as Chuck Norris.
Exactly. It's Chuck Norris there. And then also refers to just like the gray areas that they discuss throughout the film. Like they talk about faith, they talk about family and love and stuff like that. So it's not all of it's not black and white. There are various takes by other people. So they also talk about the humans in the film, which pretty much, along with Liam Neeson's character Otway, which I actually didn't know what he was saying throughout the film when he said that name until I looked it up. He and a bunch of other people are working an oil rig in the Arctic, and a whole bunch of them, ex-cons, they're robbers, they're, murderers kind of stuff. They're just out, and they don't belong in the normal society. So,
which is why they're there, right?
Right, which is exactly why they work there, because, they don't get in trouble. But a couple of them, a plane full of them were leaving that area to get back to the mainland of Alaska to, just do some rest and relaxation time. And then the plane hits turbulence and an engine catches fire and it crashes. So they find themselves in a bunch of them, surprisingly, come out without many injuries. And then they're like, oh, it's time to go and get some, it's time to find our way home. And Liam Neeson takes up his thing and he tries to lead them all home. But unfortunately, they somehow land somewhere near a wolf den. So they have a whole pack of wolves contending to eat them. So it's that's pretty much they as they get there, it pretty much it gets to the end, and it's a very unconventional ending. A lot of people that I watched it with were not happy about the ending. I thought it was good. I thought it fit. It pretty much got to that point where like I knew what was coming, and I was like, yeah, this makes sense. It's a well directed film. It's a well shot film. It's very gritty, like most of not the A-Team, which was a more expensive picture, but his other films, other Joe Carnahan films, were kind of low budget. So I actually liked it. I expected it to. I didn't expect it to be this good. The commercials made it seem a little cheesy. They didn't really go into the the conversations and what the gray stood for. Is like, man, the way it was just pretty much it made it seem like Liam Neeson would just literally run around punching and fighting wolves the whole time, which is not the case. But it was. I liked it. It was good. So it's not a bad film if you just want to sit there and if you're there just to expect mind-numbing like fighting, you're probably a little disappointed if you go to see it. So, John, were you gonna say something?
I just think it's funny that partway, through the trailer they show him going Wolverine on a wolf.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people saw that part and they
Laughed at it.
And they thought, people were like, "Whoa, this would be rather interesting," but unfortunately, that does not actually pay off.
Oh.
Oh. Bummer.
You don't actually. It doesn't. You don't get the satisfaction of that part as you would expect it. Which I guess kind of makes sense because since it's a low budget, it was like only made for $39 million. It's kind of hard to fight to make it look like you're fighting a wolf when it's literally just a Muppet,
Right.
But actually, I just wanted to bring something up really, really quickly. There's this blog on NPR called Monkey See, and she's the main host of the blog. Her name is Linda Holmes, and she wrote something really funny. She was pretty much like the title of it was "What should Liam Neeson punch next?" It's interesting because I really find it funny because. It's pretty much it talks about he's been recently he used to do Schindler's List and all these these films, and then recently he started moving into Clash of the Titans and Taken, Unknown, A-Team, stuff that we've talked about. Then she suggested so what should Liam Neeson punch next? And a couple of the highlights was Cats. Which, in Claws, Neeson plays a former FBI agent who breaks up a ring of illicit mouse trafficking, only to find that the perpetrators are highly trained Siamese cats. Fighting ensues. And another one was about baristas, which he plays an artisanal fair trade coffee roaster who learns that a major coffee shop chain is going to stop carrying his beans and switch to a mass-produced brand. When he goes to plead his case to customers, they have a misunderstanding to false reports that he's holding the store hostage. Fighting ensues. So I'll link this to the show notes. There's a lot more. There's at least like 10 ideas. And John liked the one about Maggie Smith. I don't know who Maggie Smith is. She's
a very old woman.
So, okay, so that's why she wins. I understand. Yeah, if you're watching the video, Maggie Smith, spoiler alert, Maggie Smith wins. Fighting is concluded. So that's the only one that Liam Neeson will actually lose.